Elite of the armed forces of Ukraine lost. Agony of the Kurakhovo pocket. Russian army encircles a large force. Hello friends. Before we begin, I sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you help the channel grow. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed. Let's start with the Kursk region. In the area of Darino, the Russian armed forces continue repelling enemy counterattacks. The complete clearing of Vremivka has provided Russian troops with more advantageous positions for advancing on Leonidov. The Russian armed forces are storming the village of Kursk, have entered its outskirts, and have taken the northern shore of the pond. Russian units have also advanced in the forested areas north of Kursk toward Malaya Lochnia. The aim of this maneuver is to establish a wide front to reach the vicinity of Viktorovka and flank the Ukrainian armed forces group at the Pogrebki-Malaya Lochnia line. Heavy fighting is also reported near Pogrebki, where loitering munitions, Lancets, have reportedly destroyed 2 T-64 tanks. Intense clashes are ongoing near Martinovka, south of Guyevo, and the loss of control over Novoivanovka has added to the problems for the Ukrainian armed forces. If Russian forces manage to secure Leonidov, the situation for the enemy will become dire. All signs point in this direction, especially since the Russian army has made some advances in the area of Ruskoye Porichnoye, as reported by Yuri Podolyaka. South of Sudja, the enemy is also struggling, but for now they are holding on. However, as emphasized, this should not lead to complacency. Unpleasant surprises could occur, so vigilance is essential. Meanwhile, a corruption investigation into the misuse of funds allocated for the construction of defensive structures on the border is unfolding in the rear. In Kursk, the general director of the Kursk Region Development Corporation, Vladimir Lukin, has been detained in connection with this case. British intelligence reports that the situation for the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region continues to deteriorate, with 30 square kilometers lost over the past week. Moving on to the Kurakhovo direction, the Kurakhovo pocket, its agony persists. Enemy sources report that Kurakhovo is almost entirely lost, with Ukrainian forces remaining only in the vicinity of the power plant. They also mention fighting near Dakhnoye. Losing Dakhnoye would automatically result in the loss of the Kurakhovo thermal power plant. The loss of the nearby village of Ulakli would lead to the fall of Dakhnoye as well, and in any case, the northern bank of the Suki Yali River, where the enemy is desperately holding on with remnants of the 79th Brigade, would also be lost. The collapse of this line will inevitably lead to the rapid closure of the Kurakhovo pocket. As we can see, the situation for the Ukrainian grouping in Kurakhovo is bleak and hopeless. The only question is how many combat-ready enemy units will be neutralized in the process. This is crucial because it is already evident that the shortage of such units is causing Zelensky's army to retreat, albeit slowly, along almost the entire front line. Let us recall that the attempt to hold a small pocket near Uspanovka cost the 79th Brigade at least 2 battalions, which the Ukrainian armed forces can no longer replace. The effort to hold Kurakhovo at all costs will be even more expensive. The Russian army has advanced west of Zelenovka toward the settlement of Razliv. Russian forces are also redeploying reinforcements to Zelenovka to physically cut off the Ukrainian supply routes and gain control over Ulakli and Konstantinopol. In the Selidovo direction, fighting continues near Novovasilievka. In some places, the enemy is even attempting counterattacks to push Russian units out of the outskirts of the village. The reason is clear. These positions allowed Russian troops to outflank the enemy's defensive line along the ravine by the villages of Solyonoye, Peshanoye, and Zverovoye. A successful breakthrough here would open the way for further advances northwest to sever Ukrainian communication lines, which explains the enemy's resistance. Meanwhile, Russian forces are finishing off the remaining enemy units in Novolenivka. Heavy fighting is also reported near Ukrenka. In the Pokrovskoye direction, battles are raging along the Volchya, Peshanaya, Belgika, and Dachinskaya line. Here too, Ukrainian forces, having brought in reserves, are fiercely trying to hold back the Russian armed forces at the last defensive line before Pokrovskoye. Or rather, what remains of it, as Russian troops have already breached it in several places. For instance, in Volchyi, the Russian armed forces exploited a breakthrough between Novotroitskoye and Novovasilievka to outflank and capture one of the enemy's defensive positions. Intense fighting is also ongoing in the area of Peshanoye, with the village roughly split in half. Additionally, Russian forces are advancing north from Shevchenko along the railway tracks and are attempting to break through to the Chunishino railway station from Dachinskoye. The Ukrainian armed forces report worsening situation in Peshanoye. The Ukrainian armed forces report that the situation in Peshanoye continues to deteriorate. The Russian army has taken control of half the village and is advancing northward. Additionally, Russian forces have captured the small settlement of Belgika. North of Peshanoye, the Russian armed forces have destroyed another German Leopard A4 tank. Ukrainian forces continue to send reinforcements to this direction. It is expected that the Russian army might enter the territory of Pokrovsk before the new year. Toretsk direction. Russian units continue preparations to storm the Toretsk mine by gradually securing all possible approaches. Recently, they captured districts in the settlement of Krimskoye, which is a northern suburb of Toretsk and has effectively merged into a single built-up area with it. Kupiansk direction. The Russian army has unexpectedly crossed the Oskol River, threatening the enemy's rear. In the Kharkiv region, Russian troops have advanced 700 meters in depth, consolidating positions along the riverbank. While this information remains unverified, if true, it signals significant developments, as reported by Yuri Podolyaka. South of Kupiansk, Russian forces seem to be attempting to establish another bridgehead near the settlement of Sinkovka. Fierce battles are ongoing in the area of Dvorechnoye. The Russian army has cut the Dvorechnoye-Kupiansk road and advanced further into the center of the settlement. Today, the Ukrainian armed forces published a video showing strikes on forward Russian units. You can observe the Russian army's recent advances on the map. In this area, it is critically important for Russian forces to capture the settlement of Zaporizhzhia, located south of Dvorechnoye. This area contains hills that allow control over the region for many kilometers. Velikonovo-Selkovskoye direction. Yesterday, objective control data confirmed that the Russian armed forces have fully captured the settlement of Novy Komar, which has also been acknowledged by Ukrainian sources. It seems the Russian army is regrouping for subsequent attacks in this direction. Ukrainian logistics have suffered significantly, and they might not withstand the next major push. Footage emerged yesterday showing strikes with FAB bombs on a bridge between the settlements of Konstantinopol and Andreyevka. Zaporizhzhia direction. There are increasing reports suggesting that this front is gradually becoming more active. The Russian army has advanced toward Novodanilovka. There are also new videos showing FPV drone operators targeting enemy positions during a rotation in the Novo-Andreyevka area. North Korean equipment spotted. Another train carrying North Korean military equipment has appeared online. This time, in addition to 170mm Koksan self-propelled guns, vehicles resembling Pukguksong-2 medium-range ballistic missiles were also spotted. However, due to the poor quality of the footage, it is impossible to confirm this with certainty. Discussion. Friends, what do you think about the involvement of North Korea? Are they participating in the hostilities? Share your thoughts in the comments. That's the latest news from the front as of the morning of December 22nd.